zoned for special use?
Yes.
And was it something a hybrid, commercial and residential?
Yes, I knew it was a different kind of situation than the city's had before.
Was this a new, at the times, something that was considered exciting development that hadn't been seen here in Crown Point before?
Yes.
Innovative?
Yes.
And when you have the permit forms that give you a choice of residential or commercial, does it fit in either box?
I wouldn't think it would.
So when you go to Crown Point, you have to check commercial or residential. Neither one is correct, is it?
No.
Now let's talk about the process to get this approved. Did you have to present the concept to the city of Crown Point?
The flanks did, yes.
And did they have to make a motion or resolution to allow this mixed use?
I'm not objecting unless he can establish a foundation as to what if he was there and saw what they did.
Did you have I'd be happy to. Do you understand the general process that was required to get this approved?
Yes.
And did City Center have to present a plan?
Yes.
And did there have to be a resolution?
Yes.
And did it have to be put up for public hearing?
Yes.
And did there have to be a public comment period?
Yes.
And then could it be approved?
Yes.
And did that take several months?
Yes, it did.
And was that done for City Center in 2004?
Yes.
So as far as the building goes, commercial versus residential, which has stricter standards?
I'll say the residential would.
Can you use 2x4 stick lumber to build a building like this?
No.
Can you build a building like this without sprinklers and fire safety?
No.
Are there a number of different things you have to do structurally with a commercial building that you don't have to do with a home?
Yes.
Did you build the whole building to commercial standards?
Yes.
In other words, even the residential units had the same structural safety components that the commercial and retail.
Yes.
How was this concept received of mixed use in Crown Point?
Everything I've read in the papers about it.
I'm going to object.
That's not what you. I was going to tell what you read in the papers. It's what you knew, what your impression was from your work and all the people that you dealt with.
People were very interested in it.
Objection. He's applied for what he knew, what his impression was, based on what he told him.
What did he know is allowed?
And then he has to establish, first of all, how he knew it.
Okay.
How did you know it?
Speaking with people.
Did the need for residential grow the more you understood people's impressions of this project?
Yes.
Did City Center go back to the city and ask for expanded residential use?
I believe they did.
And did you go through that same several-month process?
I believe they did, yes.
I'm going to give you what's has tab 32 on it. Have you seen that document before?
I'm sure I have.
And did City Center receive expanded permission for residential at City Center?
Yes.
Then we move to admit Exhibit 32.
No objection.
32 is admitted.
So in the fall of 2005, did City Center have ongoing public hearings to have this expanded use?
I believe they did, yes.
And that culminated in December with this expansion.
Yes.
Was City Center always going to be a mixed-use development?
To my knowledge, yes.
How long did the planning process take for this?
I know that Mr. Plank had worked on it for several years.
And who was City Center's bank during the planning process?
I believe that was Standard Bank.
What was the centerpiece of the development?
It would be the Hawk's Nest.
And we've seen this sign here. Was this sign out on the property?
Yes, it was.
And could you show the jury on this site plan where that sign was? Well, first of all, you can orient us to the drawing. It was, let's see it.
Your Honor, perhaps the witness can get out of the jury box.
Come around in front.
This is Broadway going north. That sign,
And where's building 2?
building 2 is here,
And where's the restaurant?
here,
Okay. And where do you turn in?
right here.
And where was the sign?
The sign was right here.
And how did that sign sit here?
It's set this direction so you could read it both going north and south.
Is that why it's double-sided? The same on both sides?
Yes, sir.
So it's an easement on the north side?
Yes.
And how long was that sign there? Before April of
I
2000?
believe we put that sign up as soon as they start moving the black dirt, which got this down to grade where it was out of the way, we put the sign up.
Okay. From the time you began with the project, was it open and obvious that this was going to be Hawk's Nest Restaurant?
Yes.
Was it also open and obvious that this was going to be mixed use, meaning commercial, retail, and residential use?
Yes.
And how was that open and obvious?
By number one, we had a big sign out front that said it was commercial, retail, and residential.
I'm going to hand you what's been marked for identification as Exhibit 9. Can you take a look at that, please?
Okay.
Is that a picture of the sign?
Yes, it is.
And when was that picture taken?
According to this, October 7th, 2005.
Was that sign in front of the City Center complex on October 7th, 2005?
Yes, it was.
You want to read this to the admission of Exhibit 9?
Okay.
9 is admitted.
Now, how big is that sign we've seen at night?
Same size as that yellow one.
About 4 feet by 8 feet, thereabouts,
Yes, sir.
whatever that is? Where was that sign located? Could you show us on the site drawing again?
That sign would have been right about in here.
So again, the easement right up on Broadway,
Yes,
right in front of Building 2.
yes.
Is there any way you could come into Building 2, or the construction that was to become Building 2, and not see that sign?
It would have been hard. It was purposely placed there so you would see it.
Now, since they refinanced the acquisition financing and took construction financing from Fifth Third, we've heard a lot of testimony about that.
I've heard a lot of that, yes.
And that was on October 21st, 2005.
That's what I believe, yes.
What was the status of the construction at that point?
Well, it had begun before that,
Had the site work begun?
yes.
Had the work on the foundations begun?
Yes.
Could you turn to tab 10 in the joint binder? Now, this is a report from Fifth Third's inspector we've been talking about. Did you ever see this before litigation began?
No, I haven't.
In other words, this was a document the inspector provided to the bank, is that your understanding?
Yes.
And this was prepared on October 22nd?
Jackson, that's not a question.
Was this prepared on October 22nd?
Yes.
Was that a Saturday? Do you recall from previous testimony?
I recall. Someone said it was a Saturday.
Are there photographs taken there?
Yes.
Could you turn to page 9?
Okay.
You see at the bottom, it says foundation wall essentially complete.
Yes.
That's referring, it says building 3. How many rows of cinder blocks high is that?
Appears to be 4,
How big are those cinder blocks?
8 inches high.
8 inches high? Times 4?
Yes.
And how long is this building?
I believe they're 180 feet, I believe, long.
So you've got this wall that's 8 inches times 4, 32 inches high, and 180 feet long.
Yes.
Would you expect even the casual visitor to the site to recognize that there's construction ongoing there?
Yes.
Could you turn to the next page? Is that a second building under construction?
Yes.
And how many rows of cinder block does that building have?
Appears 4 as well.
And how long is that built?
Should be the same, 180 feet.
So on October 22nd, the day after this loan was signed, there's 2 buildings that have 4 cinder blocks high, 180 feet long, out at the site.
Yes.
we've seen in that inspecting architect report that there was $971,000 of construction completed. Does that sound about right to you?
Yes,
And would that be hard costs
I would say yes,
for the construction that we see here in these photos?
yes,
And is that the actual cost of construction?
yes.
That doesn't include land costs, does it?
No, I dealt strictly with construction costs.
Did City Center change its way of doing business after you closed the loan on October 21st, 2005?
No, we do not.
Did you do things exactly the same after the refinancing took place as you had done before?
Yes.
And how long had the construction been ongoing?
I believe we started that project in early summer of '05.
Now, you were primarily involved with the construction, not the financing. Is that what you told Mr. Woodward?
That's correct.
But as the superintendent for Hawk, did you come to understand how the bank was handling the equity requirements?
The further along it got, the more I knew.
Now, in November of 2005, the first draw request that Hawk submitted, did Hawk get a payment as well?
Yeah, I believe we did.
And what did the bank do to that payment? Did it reduce it?
Yes.
How much did they reduce it?
I want to say it was like $300,000.
So did you understand at that point that the bank, when it wanted equity, would simply reduce Hawk's draw?
I found out then.
That came out of Hawk's account.
Yes.
Hawk did the work, Hawk did the masonry, put up these blocks that we see, but instead of getting paid, it was reduced. The payment was reduced, and that money was put into equity.
That's how I found out about equity.
And was that the bank's decision to do it that way?
I believe it was.
Did anybody at City Center or Hawk complain?
I don't know. I asked Mr. Plank about it.
Did City Center and Hawk try and do what the bank asked?
Absolutely.
Now, initially, who was the relationship manager from Fifth Third?
I didn't know him at the time. I just know who it was now that we've started this.
Brian Speck?
Brian Speck, yes.
You understand he was there from the time the loan originated on October 21st through the end of April 2006?
Yes.
Did City Center have any major issues or difficulties dealing with Mr. Speck
Not that I'm aware of.
throughout the whole procedure?
Yes.
Now, when Ms. Steiger came in May, were there difficulties?
Yes.
Were you notified immediately?
Yes.
So, based on what happened with Ms. Steiger, do you have an understanding of how things were going with the bank when Mr. Speck was in charge?
Yes.
And how was that?
Well, everything was going fine with Mr. Speck.
And now we've already talked about what happened with draw 6 of the story testimony. Was that the first draw that Ms. Steiger handled?
I believe it was.
Let's go on to draw 7. Do you have in the white book tab 7 in front of you? Could you look at tab 7, page 5? Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Did you prepare, and by prepare I mean come up with the numbers from the subs to put into draw number 7?
Yes, off their invoices.
And you've heard that process described before. You get an invoice from the sub,
Yes.
and what would you do with it?
I would check the invoice, I'd go out to the site to make sure that the dollar amount they're asking for is work that was actually accomplished. I would take that to Mary and give her that with the dollar amounts, and she would add them onto the sworn statements.
So you would go out to the site, inspect the work, both for quantity and quality,
Yes.
and if you were satisfied, then you give it to Mary and put it on here.
Yes.
And the draw request or sworn statement that you submitted in July, draw 7, what was the total contract price?
$9,400,358.
Could you look at page 247, which is just a few pages back, in that same tab 7? What day did you submit that?
July 26th. I'm sorry, July 10th.
On page 247, is that an email to Joanne Stacker?
I don't know where you're at.
If you turn to that, just keep going. They're not, we didn't give you all 6,000 pages. So you keep going in tab 7A, you'll see page 247. When did you email that statement?
July 13th, 2006.
And could you turn to the next page, page 248? Did you follow up with Ms. Stager the next day?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. What was going on with the subs at this point? How were they feeling about the project?
They were very nervous about the money.
Why was that?
The draws were taking long.
The draw number 6 took a long time?
Yes.
And did the subs complain about that to you?
Yes.
What was their concern?
Concerned that there was going to be a problem with funding, or if the bank was going to pay up or not.
And is that why you were following up with Joanne Stager so diligently?
Yes.
Could you turn to page 249? When did you next follow up with her?
Monday, July 17th.
So you talked with her on, you emailed her on Thursday, on Friday, and then again on Monday.
Yes.
And did you talk with her?
It doesn't appear I did.
Did she tell you to make an appointment with Tyco?
No.
Did you read the last line of that email?
I had made an appointment with Tyco for your direction, so yes, you must have.
And let's skip forward a few pages to page 252. Did Ms. Steiger tell you that Fifth Third was going to fund the draw request with the $9.4 million total project cost?
Yes.
Did she email that to you?
Yes.
Did you turn to 253? Did you follow up with her that same day and ask her to please let you know the status?
Yes.
Now, did she fund the draw request on July the 17th as she said she would?
Apparently not.
Did she call you or email you on July 17th and tell you why not?
I don't believe she did.
Did she give you any heads up that she wasn't going to fund it that day?
I don't believe so.
Is that email from her on 2/52, the last communication you heard from her on the 17th?
It appears it is.
Turn to 254. When it didn't get funded, did you inquire of Ms. Steiger again?
Yes, I did.
And when?
On Friday, July 22nd, 2006. That's right.
So now a whole other week has passed?
Friday the 21st, 2006.
Has another whole week passed?
Yes.
Do you have any explanation for why it wasn't funded?
No, I don't.
What's going on with your subs at this point?
They're pretty irritated.
Are they asking you?
Very much so.
And did the bank give you anything to tell them?
No.
Now, did Ms. Steiger email you back later that day? Page 255.
Yes.
Did she understand that the issues going on with the subs and the importance of getting paid?
I don't know if she knew the severity of it or not.
Did she tell you now that there was an issue with the draw?
Yes.
Did she ever tell you what that issue was?
Not that I recall. I don't see it here.
So it might not get resolved until Monday.
Correct.
Were you expecting then that your subs would get paid on Monday?
Yes.
Did they get paid on Monday?
I don't recall if they did or not.
Well, let's turn to the next page. Did Ms. Steiger email you again on Monday?
It's on 257?
Yes, sir. 257.
Yes, Monday the 24th.
Was she resolving a couple issues?
Yes.
Did she tell you she was going to resolve that day?
It was today, yes.
Did she get it resolved?
I don't recall.
Did she ever tell you what these issues were?
No.
Did she ever ask for any input or assistance from the City Center or Hawk to resolve these issues?
Not that I recall.
Did you turn to page 258? Did you hear from Ms. Steiger at all between Monday, the 24th, and Wednesday, the 26th?
I don't believe I did.
What's that?
I don't believe I did.
So, seeing this email, do you recall if Ms. Steiger got the issues resolved on Monday, the 24th?
I don't know if she did or not.
Well, did your subs get paid on Monday, the 24th?
I'm assuming she did. This is this moves more statement.
Did your subs get paid on Monday, the 24th?
Yes.
On July 24th? 2 days previous?
No, they didn't.
Now let's look at this email. This is an email from Ms. Steiger to Mary. You see that?
Yes.
On 258?
Yes.
And it's CC'd to you.
Yes.
And is there an attachment to that?
Yes.
And it's sworn construction statement revision 2.
Yes.
If you turn to page 258. Is that the attachment to Ms. Steiger's July 24th email?
I would assume that it is, yes.
Did she provide the revised sworn with the $6.129 million total contract price?
Yes.
Did City Senator Hawk have any role in revising this sworn statement, page 259?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Well, if the sworn was revised, is that something that you as a superintendent would be notified of?
If someone else revised it?
If City Center was revising its own sworn statement,
Oh, yes.
would they come to you?
Yes.
Because you were collecting the invoices and providing the information to the input, right?
Yes.
And if somebody questioned that information, wouldn't you be the one to come to?
Yes.
Did anybody ever come to you to revise this draw 7? Do you have any idea how this $6.129 million number was arrived at?
No, I don't.
Is that something that the bank did?
Yes.
Is there any way City Center could have completed this project for $6.129 million?
No, I don't see how.
Did Ms. Steiner offer any explanation for why the bank revised this?
No.
Could you go back to the previous page? Did she tell you to sign, notarize, fax, and then I'll fund the draw?
Yes.
Was that open for discussion?
Doesn't appear to be, no.
So you sign it and get yourselves paid for no money.
That's what I see it.
What would have happened to City Center at this point if you hadn't signed her?
Action speculation.
Well, let me ask you this way. You were the superintendent of the project.
Yes.
You were dealing with the subs every day.
Yes.
Were they getting increasingly concerned?
Yes.
If you didn't get them paid promptly, do you think the project could have gone forward?
I believe they would have stopped showing up for work until they were paid.
And in fact, as you sit here today, do you know that they ended up putting a lien in the project?
I know that now, yes.
Because they were getting paid.
Yes.
And why weren't they getting paid?
Fifth Third wasn't funding anything.
Did these delays in funding and cutbacks kill the project?
Yes.
And these delays were caused by who?
Fifth Third.
And we heard some testimony from Ms. Steiger that there was overhead and profit, and that could explain the difference. Was City Center going to make $3.3 million of overhead and profit in this?
Not to my knowledge.
Was that $9.4 million what you needed to have the subs complete the project?
Yes.
Was this cutback a death sentence for the project?
Yes.
Now, did Hawk continue to do business after this draw 7?
Yes.
And did you submit a draw 8?
Yes.
Was that ever funded?
No.
Was Hawk doing its best to support the City Center project and keep it moving?
Yes.
And did the bank take action that adversely affected Hawk?
Yes.
What did the bank do?
They completely stopped all funding.
Did they take money from Hawk?
Yes, they did.
How much money did they take from Hawk?
I think it was like $200,000 out of our business account.
So they deducted another $200,000 from Hawk?
Yes.
They did $300,000 in November of 2005.
Subject, this is relevant. My approach.